Hey, hello everyone, welcome to the video. Let's take a look at the markets. We will start by taking a look at the technical pages, then we'll jump over and have a look at the motive wave. The markets have come back fairly strongly here, and you can see, the snapback here in the bullish percent index, something we were talking, quite strongly when it was, between 10 and 15. And we were talking about this huge snapback that it's likely to happen because in previous instances when we had those kind of major sell-off, it did a similar thing, and here we are approaching 80. Now it's probably going to be a time where we're going to slow down a little bit as soon as we're going to hit those levels. Market is getting a little bit frothy, a little bit more greed obviously than usual now, and it's normal after you've had such a strong rally off the lows. So I continue to remain, well invested in here. I've been watching, obviously, the resistance zones in multiple markets here near their 200-day moving average. We're starting to overcome some of those and just kind of move to the upside. So we cleared a pretty big hurdle. It was also kind of the previous B wave swing, which we'll take a look here in the Elliott wave. So clearing both of those is a pretty good signal, and could indicate that we are moving to new all-time highs. So this is the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq Composite kind of doing their similar thing. Advances versus declines continues to improve. Here is the top 100 index with a pretty big gap following this trade with China news, and we were up. This closed right towards the highs, 3.57%. Pretty strong moving here on very strong volume. So this is pretty welcome for a further continuation. If you look at all the indices in here, they clearly now back above their 50-day moving average, which is probably going to start turning to the upside. So we do have now, as a bull, now you do have quite a bit of defense, and you have more confidence. That you can stay in the long positions, or that you can trade from the long side now that you've cleared this many hurdles. Is it the right point to entry right now? It's difficult because we've come, so far so fast, and as you saw there, right, you're approaching a little bit of frothiness, but that doesn't mean that there is not stuff out there that's interesting in terms of individual stocks. But in terms of indices, one would have to be just a bit more cautious there. Maybe there'll be a bit of sideways movement. Here it shows that we cleared all the 200-day moving averages with the exception of IWM, which is still kind of struggling to get above, but I think it will likely follow through as well. Advanced decline line, he was the one that was kind of telling us all along that there is not so much damage in the market, and it was basically moving sideways, just being very, very tight, and it made new highs well below before the market starting to kind of accelerate to the upside. So that's an interesting thing to watch. Also, we're getting a bunch of participation now. We have 80% of the stocks above their 20-day, 72% above their 50, and then even nicer here, you can see about 53% above their 200-day moving average. We need to see a bit more in here, from the stocks above their 200-day. So we'll watch on these parameters, continue to kind of guide us through. Highs versus lows, I don't think they're that important at the moment. Advance versus declines, they're fine. The market, looks good. I don't see, let's say, any major divergences here or anything. You could say, that maybe the advances are slowing down a little bit, but I don't think it's anything too scary. When you look at discretionary versus staples, they look strong too, kind of turning around. People are starting to buy more high beta names versus quality, and you can see this kind of starting to turn. We're still in a downtrend in here, but we're very, very far from any kind of huge frothy zones in terms of like super high speculative names being pushed tens of percents up very quickly. Look, the S&P gapped higher again. The signal that came to us, I think a couple of weeks ago back, I think it was in April 22nd. We've had the scandal back here that told us. Actually, both these scandals were telling us that there is very likely for more power to come into this market. That this big candle that we've had off, those lows. that had staying power because the market was starting to confirm that, and sure enough, here we are, just like off the close of this candle, right? We're now up about 10%, so very decent, and these signals are nothing to you know let's say they're important, right? So that's why I continue to watch, and I don't rush too quickly to get too bullish until I'm getting these type of candles that tell me that the market is about to move to the upside. Same on the Nasdaq Composite. I mean, look, huge volume, nice gap higher. Nicey, it's starting to clear that B wave up. The S&P above the 150, the PPO, it's up in the positive territory. The RSI is where I like it, or 65, and we've cleared and we've starting to move, right? And I would personally like to see it kind of turn green up here, get above 70, and stay up there for a while for this trend to continue. Same for the Nasdaq. Now, listen, there's probably going to be some back and forth. We might try to close this gap, or see if the market it's supported on the way down at these moving averages, at this kind of prior swings. The bears are going to start testing that and see what is going on. Maybe there'll be some selling. Because I mean that's all it is, right? It's kind of positioning and then supply, demand, and who's hiding where. Are they strong enough to hold those levels? Are orders coming in? That's what we're watching every day to see if you're going to get. So if the market comes back and tests this level, then you see a week off of it, and buyers coming in and closing near the high, then that they're going to try to hold that, and that gives you even more confidence. Hey, they're holding, so they're ready to move back to the upside. Mags. They're doing okay. Dow Jones, IWM, right? It's got a bit more to clear. I like today's action on high volume again. RSI at about 65. I mean, look for how long we've been below. If you look at the daily, right, since December. I mean, you could have gone, kind of short, or even not short, but just kind of be cautious the moment this candle kind of came in the market, and then you really weren't able to recover above the 50-day moving average ever since then, right? And then look what happened. The market lost 24%, and we talked about this, especially when we started to break below these levels. Guys, something is wrong, below the 200-day. And sure enough, I mean, the RSI never moved back up, and now is the first time that we're getting signals to the upside. We do have that overhead, so we'll watch it. Bitcoin still looks very nice. It moves. I'm going to talk about it here on Elliott wave, and kind of try to offer some upside projections on it. I mean, we're back near big levels here, near 107, 108, and it's not going to be that easy to get through them, but I think we will. I mean, the signal basically in Bitcoin came right here, and we discussed this. We talked in the videos back then that this is the moment to start looking to the upside, and we were waiting patiently for some of this consolidation to kind of get out of the way, for this candle back here in April 9th to kind of get confirmed by further strength, and basically it gave 20%, almost 20% rally since then, and continues to look good. TNX back to the upside a little bit. The dollar found a little bit of strength. It's coming into a declining moving average, so expect a bit of selling there. And then gold is probably getting pushed to the side now that the stocks are rallying back. But this could be a very simple ABC. So I look to see if there is interest near 31, 38 in gold, and silver doing nothing, and then WTIC. Again, below the moving average. I think it looks still fairly weak. Okay, let's take a look at some Elliott wave in here and see what's going on. Same count that we know. I mean, I've done multiple videos on this with these counts, and we labeled it as an ABC. We were waiting to see what's going on near the B wave high. You have a pretty powerful move off the low, wave one, a wave two. I think we're in the middle of some kind of a wave three. If this is an X wave, it's got to start failing and moving back to the downside. And that's all there is. We've seen that happen before. Again, with the clearings above, B wave with the clearings above the moving averages. the bears have to prove now that they have enough power to kind of turn it back around and start to sell it. So I'm going to go like to a 2-hour chart. You'll see. Oh, it's not on the Comcast. It's not on the composite. I got it on the S&P. I think some of the smaller wave count. Yep. So it's a similar count, right? It's an ABC down. I mean, a very very sharp move. And now if we look at like a 2-hour, I've labeled this. I don't know, maybe even more than a week ago, and as a wave one, as a wave two into 5105. We talked about, you know, this market basically as it was kind of reaching this high, not to get towards 61.8. It never did. It just kind of stopped and moved higher. So I think this wave three is still in progress. We can measure a little bit of it. So if you look 3 versus 1, you're barely at equality with it. I mean, 161.8 would put it all the way towards 62.14, which would be a new all-time high, because the all high is 61.47, if I'm correct. So maybe there's a way for the market to get all the way up there. The thing is, like, we never know how it's going to get, right? It could pull back a little bit, go sideways, whatever he wants to do. Multiple waves here. We're not going to get into counting all the little minutia wave in here. I don't care for any of that. I am looking for the direction, and if they clear B waves and moving averages, I'm all up for trading from the long side, the stocks I'm watching. So it's simple as that. And then we're probably going to get some kind of a wave forward at some point, and then maybe we'll continue to push higher. We'll see. But that's the and it's similar. It's a similar story in the Nasdaq Composite. I mean, if you look at the 1 week, we're probably going to look to target. Not that I would necessarily would be in a trade that long. I don't think I have the patience to stay long for that much. But you're probably looking for this on the weekly time frame. If this is indeed a wave too low, for this to get all the way towards 28,000, I don't know, by next year or something, or in a couple of years to start to push the road up there. It's not going to be a straight shot like in 2020, but you start with the wave one, then you come back in a wave two, and then something like this could happen at the highs, right? If you're doing that, right, you go up there, and then you start to come back down, create a little bit of a pullback, and then break again, come back, retest it, and then start to go something like that. I guess I don't know, but I do like it. I mean, the more I'm looking at this, it could actually it can be a flat in an ABC, because this is a much clearer three-wave decline in that ABC. Then you have, SOX. I mean, I put this on Twitter too. Like, this is a big market, that I think has the potential to go. I mean, look at this beautiful monthly candle formation, and at the how nice this kind of ABC looks like. Now, yeah, you got to clear that 55.25, but once you do, there's potential to move towards 8,000 in SOX. Okay, let's take a look quickly at IBIT, which I think I talked to you guys last week, and we were looking at some projections. Look, we've gone. Let me just delete this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. Let me see. Go to a smaller time frame. I'm going to put this back on the weekly. I don't want to see that on the weekly, so I'm going to delete that. Just kind of annoys me. I want to see a clearer chart on the weekly. So we're looking basically for this, a bit of a larger third wave to develop. It starts as a 5-wave move, which looks like, we might have it, might be already complete. And if it is, we would expect some kind of a 3-wave setback now in here. Maybe something small like that comes to the bottom of the 4th wave, and then they're probably going to start to attempt something again. But look, you've got a big level right there. And if you do, right, you have some kind of a left shoulder, you're probably going to do like a right shoulder, or maybe even something more complex, and then we're looking for a bigger break. So I think Bitcoin might take a little bit of time near the highs to kind of form some type of a pattern. And if we measure, let's measure this one. I mean, 100% counts at about 92. That would be, I guess, a minimal target for this entire wave, and then we'll go from there. If we go and look at Bitcoin, I'm still looking at it. We labeled this as a wave 2 ever since we kind of touched that line. You look at the 100% for the wave 3 comes right there at about 165, 394. That's my target to the upside for this wave 3. Now, if this would have been already a wave 5, and I'm talking about this wave here, right? Although the subdivision of it, would have been different. It would have been the purple that would have kind of taken place of the red, and then wave 1 red would be up here instead of the wave 1 purple. That's the higher degree wave, right? And then then we were supposed to have a wave 2 pullback in red, and I think this one is way too short. At least something a little bit bigger. I don't know. It could be, but we're not gonna play that game right now to just imagine, other higher wave counts like that. I'm just gonna leave it like this, and then we'll see what happens. But clearly, an upside target for a wave 3, it's at least just out of a standard, because you always want wave 3 to be the longest wave in a sequence. Doesn't mean that it always is, but usually is, and it actually moves to 161.8 on a regular basis. So that comes in at about 270,000, right? So if this would be a wave 3 based on this wave 1, the target would be 270,000. This up here is, what is this? I think this is based on, it's probably the equality. Let me see, let me find out. I forgot what that target is. 100%. I'm thinking is this wave 3 compared with this wave 1. I might be wrong. I gotta check myself on that, but I know I had a target. Let me see. Maybe I can. Yeah, let's do a quick exercise and see if I'm right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's basically the length of this wave and the length of this wave back here, okay, on the log scale. So, equality between this guy and this guy would be about 256. If you do 161.8 of this wave, would come around the same neighborhood. So maybe those are good targets for Bitcoin, for the upside. There is other ways to do some some upside targets, and I can go to a smaller time frame to kind of show you some of that. You can do like reverse fibs. So look, basically here you pull back about 50%, but you can also do like a reverse fib of this guy, of the wave 2. I don't know if I have the, yes. So some upside targets here would be basically 123,000. I'm sorry, 123%, 138%, so 120, 126, even 138. Those could be decent targets to the upside, because once you clear basically a 61.8 retracement of this guy, right, which was at about 94, 398, right, then you're looking for a move to go to 123, 138 into that area as a reverse fib there. So I think I think those targets are quite achievable. I mean, would I buy it here? Probably not. I mean, the time to buy it was, as I said, when Bitcoin basically cleared that zone, right here. And then obviously another time was right here on this day when it basically held the low and the retest of those moving averages, and that was on May 6th. And that showed you basically right there to pretty good volume that that it mean business moving forward, and that moved from like 96,000 to whatever 104, 105. So that's a 8-7%, 8-9% move. Right now here it's a bit tricky. You're right near the highs. I mean, it's very tricky to buy it right now here. So I mean, the RSI is still good, and looks fine. I mean, it's still, again, this, if you're in it, there's nothing, Bitcoin is doing anything wrong. Usually you want to buy dips back towards the 50 RSI and the moving averages with confirmation from price, to get you back into the uptrend. I think that's all I have for today. I might put this is for members, but I'm going to put this one on YouTube as well. If anybody wants to look at Elliott wave, or my thoughts on the market. I haven't done a YouTube video in like I don't know, 3 weeks or something. Can seem to kind of get around doing it, but I'm again, I'm just kind of here watching the market, buying stocks. You guys know, kind of. I haven't talked a lot about my positions. Maybe I'll do like video tomorrow or the day after, and I'll just kind of tell you what I've been in and kind of what I did, what I got out. Any questions, just kind of put them in the chat or send me an email. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.